we just kind of got started working backwards, talking about the semifinal that is set and how these teams are largely the teams that we uh, almost completely, right, widely expected teams who were supposed to be there. So, um, Shep was saying that it's been they were kind of the protected seeds. They were the tournament was set up so that these teams would have the path to meet each other here in the final four, in the semifinals, not
if they won their
beforehand.
groups.
Yeah, not beforehand, if they won their games. So it's one thing to set up the tournament that way, but boy, it's a whole other one when there is question about providing aid to allow them to get there, right? And I'm going to go back to let's start with Shep. You mentioned Argentina, that watching the games across this World Cup, they haven't looked like a top 3 or 4 team in this tournament, right? Not for 90 plus minutes. They might have looked
Certainly
that
not in
way.
the knockout rounds,
Yep,
right?
exactly. Yeah, they were pretty dominant in the in the group stage, but I mean, that, they're one of the top teams. They're supposed to dominate that stage, but yeah, not in the knockout stages. And I will go back to that match against Egypt. Let's focus on that. And I know it's going to be uh, it's a it's still pretty raw. It was how many days ago? 4 days ago when that took place. Wednesday.
Yeah, with the seventh, so 5 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 days. Um, your thoughts, Manny. While you collect your thoughts, I want to hear from Shep first, and then I do want to hear your take also. I think they're probably going to be largely on the same path, but might be different versions of each other. But yeah, Shep, what did you
I'm going
see
to
in
use
that
this
game?
phrase a lot today.
Uh huh.
Multiple things can be true at the same time.
Uh huh.
One, Egypt probably did foul the Argentinian player on the lead up to that goal that got erased.
When they
Two,
were
it
they,
was 100 yards from goal. There was plenty of opportunity for Argentina to stop that counterattack. Three, Argentina absolutely fouled Egypt on the lead up to their third goal. Four, it was in the box. Five, if you're going to call that foul to bring back Egypt's goal earlier, why don't you call the foul to bring back Argentina's goal? Six, the reason is because that it was in the penalty box. And so instead of just taking away a goal from Argentina, you would have given a penalty kick to Egypt, which means they probably would have won the game 3-2 instead of losing the game 3-2. Seven, I know why they did it. I can understand the argument, but it looks awful, right? That's like, if you break down that game, those are the 7 things that stand out so much about how that game broke to be 3-2 Argentina as opposed to 3-2 Egypt.
and almost all of those went the way of one team and not any
Well,
kind of us.
all 7
Yeah.
things that I just discussed went well, with the exception of Argentina not making the stopping the counterattack, right?
Yep.
And it is, look, Messi gets away with the red card in the group stage. He got away with stepping on someone's foot last night against Switzerland. Egypt, so you watch that game, and so this is where soccer is a funny sport. Argentina was clearly better than Egypt. You could just tell.
We knew that beforehand.
Still,
we knew that on the
we knew
field.
that before.
Yeah.
But Egypt made the most of their chances in that game, which is why we watch. Otherwise, we would just say, "Hey, France
This
is the World
team's
Cup."
better. Yeah. Right.
You know, and that's why we play. And Egypt converted their chances, and ultimately, I feel like they're justified in thinking they got robbed. I mean, just absolutely robbed against Argentina. And I don't look. I can justify each individual decision, but contextually, it really looks like it looks like if it's a 60-40 call for Egypt or 70-30 call for Egypt or any kind of Argentina's opponents, it's just not going to go that way. It's going to go Argentina's way.
Yep.
And I've got, and it happened. in the group stage where it didn't matter. I mean, Argentina was just dominant in those games. But the Egypt game and the Switzerland game too, it was just rough. Now, I know we're not talking about Switzerland, so I don't get many chances to talk about the Egypt-Argentina game, and I'll give you my full broadside cannonade against officiating when it comes to Argentina, when it comes to Switzerland game.
Yeah. Well, we're actually gonna. There's a lot to cover here. So, Manny, before we toss it over to you, here's the thing that I'll say. You talk about 7 things that forget 50-50. They were kind of leaning, most of those were leaning Egypt's way, but went Argentina's way, right? Shep, Manny, what I've been saying for years, right? What's one of those Rizwanisms? Once is a coincidence. Once is an accident, twice is a coincidence, 3 times it's a pattern. I'm going to have to modify that. 7 times it's a damn pattern. This is a pattern, and that's not okay. That brings into question the very integrity of the sport. I'm not going to fly off that there's some grand conspiracy, but boy, oh boy, there is a strong impression of one when there are this many calls that go one team's way, and that team is the one that, quote, is supposed to be better, supposed to win, supposed to advance, as opposed to an underdog that's playing out their hearts in this game. And we'll talk about they made tactical mistakes toward the end. Absolutely. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But when there are this many calls that obviously go favoring one team, it calls into question the integrity of the game. It just does. That's just the way it is. Manny, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming through pretty soft. If you could increase the volume.
I'm driving right now. Driving back.
All right. Well, I appreciate your taking the time out to call in. I know this is important stuff. So yeah, yes, we can hear you here. I'm gonna turn down the background goals going on. Those goals will go on. There's 215 of them. All right, go ahead, Manny.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, look, the Argentina-Egypt game, right? This is the one we're talking about.
Yep.
I mean, I watched it live, and I was just really incredulous to what I felt was uneven calling, okay? Because I saw the ticky-tack, the similar sort of, like even in the previous game when Messi had, like literally his spikes had, I think, came on somebody's shin. They didn't even give him a yellow.
Yeah.
They didn't even call a foul. In this game, you could tell initially the match was fairly, like, there wasn't a lot going on until that first Egypt goal. I think it was the 19th or 20th minute.
Mm-hmm.
Once that goal, like, happened, and the second time I watched this match, I was very keen to see what expressions on Messi's face was. Here's something I didn't get a chance because I've been just taking my daughter back, doing a lot of traveling this weekend. I even didn't get to watch all of the game, but I did want to say that when I did get a chance to watch the Egypt-Argentina match the second time, 2 questions I have. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Prior to what happened, in the Middle East like 2 years ago, but ever since the Epstein files and so on, man, I am now like wondering if there is something else at play. Now, in this particular case, I think it may be more about revenue and, hey, we want to see Argentina, Brazil, France, these kind of heavyweights. And so maybe it's more those reasons that
it's not political. It's more financial is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But at the same time, guys, let's not kid ourselves. Egypt's coach was very vocal leading up to the match about the Palestine, right? Like he was seen waving the flag after their win. He's been very vocal online, and he's not just a regular guy who never really played and somehow became a coach. This is their leading scorer of all time, right? So he has proven himself to be a very good player for Egypt, and now apparently a very good coach as well, because look how far he took them. My issue is two questions I have not had a chance to go back and research, and maybe you guys know the answer to this. I firmly believe that in a live match, crowd reactions and a lot of that, what's shown on the actual stadium TV screen and what's shown on what the broadcast reads for the rest of the world, they I hope are the same thing. Like, I don't know if it's easy to like pull some wool over people's eyes if you're kind of either delaying like the in-stadium feed versus what you're showing live to the world. So I want to go back and see, hey, were there times when they did not actually show a replay? Because many times you guys will see that media, the broadcasting TV company, immediately starts showing replays of some potential foul or not foul. What I did notice, Rizwan, is a couple of times where there should have at least been some discussion, should we review or nothing. The game just kept moving very quick. So it all goes back to I really feel unfair officiating in that one for sure.
Yeah.
Enough to where,
so your point is actually really correct, Manny, about the world feed. FIFA controls the world feed. And like take the U.S. Bosnian game. When Balogun missed the goal right before the first half ended, the reason why he missed is because he was held from behind, like his arm was held, and it threw him off trying to get into the position to take the shot. You could see that live, but when they showed the replay, the world feed didn't show the replay until after the hold was over.
That's what I'm saying. That kind of inconsistency really can bring kind of reaction where you're not, because I really feel like if they're both being shown at the same time, there is pressure on the ref to reverse this call because a million other eyes in the stadium can see what this fool can't see. How the heck are you going to make that call? But if you completely take off all those other investigators watching the match out of even contention, then you are kind of in effect like putting your thumb on what's going to be decided without any real-time pushback because they've seen it twice right there in the stadium. So that's part of an easy way to kind of fool people.
Yeah. So look, for me, it comes back to, we've talked about it. I think part of the reason sports is so polarizing is because it ends up being a viewpoint. No matter how objective we try to be as analysts, we're still fans. We're still going to, even when we're not directly following, direct fans of one of the teams in a competition. It's human tendency as fans of the sport to start to root for one team versus the other and not just sit back and just watch a game between two competitors, individual or teams, right? During the course of that's why it's such a high money venture, because we get invested. It doesn't matter how much we want to not get invested in the competition and just sit there and enjoy the actual sport. We get invested as human beings. So because of that, we want there to be fairness. We don't want there to be any sense of impropriety.
And that's why VAR was created, or instant replay.
Supposedly,
like was this idea because we know humans make mistakes, right? And so it's the idea. But the problem is the way they're using VAR, especially in this World Cup, contextually looks kind of out of whack, man.
Mm-hmm. So I want to dig into that. When they disallowed that Egypt goal, I believe they were up 2-0 at that time.
They would have been up 2-0.
Okay, it was 1-0.
They were up 1-0.
Yeah, and then they came back and scored anyway. But that doesn't matter. That does not justify the wrong call. So, were they technically allowed to look back as far as they did? Wasn't there some sort of a? Okay, I thought there was some sort of a controversy about what they could have looked at.
No, they looked. So with the rules, they looked at the beginning of the possession for Egypt, since it was a direct counterattack, and said this foul led to this goal. Which, look, I think that violates the spirit of the game, but it is one of those actually technically correct. It's a
Letter of
type
the law,
correct, right?
Yeah.
Right. But if that's the case, then why didn't they do that when Argentina scored their third? And the reason why they didn't is if they had done that, Egypt would have gotten a penalty kick and they would have won 3-2.
Yep.
And that's where, so in isolation, a lot of these times I can say, okay, I get it. I can understand this decision.
Don't agree, but understand. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So like, yeah, it was a foul. Egypt fouled the Argentinian player or the Argentine player, and then they started the counterattack. But equally true is that and I would never have called it back because it was literally 100 yards from the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And well, technically, I would like once VAR looked in it, I was like, yeah, it's going to get overturned, right? But I wouldn't have called it back. But equally, I wouldn't have probably, if I'd missed the foul in the box in Egypt, I would not have called back the Argentine goal either. But I felt like the consequences, like, so when VAR should have looked at that and they chose not to, right? And that is where I've got real beefs because there were actually 2 fouls Argentina committed in the box against Egypt, right? And they were both fouls. So why not have VAR look at that? Because they contributed to Argentina getting the possession that led back down to them to go up 3-2. And that's where my beef is. Like, I can understand not looking at it, but if you didn't look at it then, why did you look at it before? It's everything has fallen Argentina's way so far, and each individual decision, with the exception of the Messi no call on the red card, that's just indefensible from the group stage. It is. I mean, he should have missed 2 or 3 games. It was a pretty wicked foul. It was far worse than what Balogun or Kwanzaa did for England. It was. And even though I think Balogun should never been a red card, Kwanzaa I understand because he went over the ball. I was like, yeah. Once I saw the replay, I was like, yeah, it's got to be a red card. But Messi actually had intent behind his. Like, there was nothing. Like, he absolutely raked his studs down the back of that guy's leg, and there was just no replay. And that, man, it gets me really. I'm a big fairness guy when it comes to competition.
Right.
Like, if it's a war, yeah, okay, whatever. Fair, that goes out the window, right? But for sports, yeah, no. I mean, like, the rules need to be applied equally. It's like
field needs to be level, and rules need to be applied.
Manny, did you watch the England, Mexico, and the England, Norway games?
Yeah, I did.
All right, tell you what, we're gonna. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to ask you to put a pin in it. We're about 30 seconds away. We're gonna take a short break. We're gonna come back and we're gonna pick up with that England-Norway quarterfinal matchup. Which, again, there's one team that's just been kind of marching along, which is France. But everybody else, they've had some tight games, and that one, England-Norway was a good one. We're going to talk about that and a lot more when we come back. You're listening to the Sports Spotlight right here on Radio Azad.
This is Radio Azad.